Hi, I'm Kelsey with roughandtumblefarmhouse.com, and today, thank you Grace, today we are going to be putting some pasture seed in what was our old garden. So of course, before we can actually rake the garden, we have to figure out where the rake is, and that is something, when I was an apprentice at an organic vegetable CSA, we talked about how we spent almost half of our time as farmers just walking around looking for stuff, and that is 100% what is going on right now. So I've checked and double checked the shop, the barn, and the chicken coop. It's not there, and I'm looking right at it. It's sitting right by the front door. Of course it is. So here is the old garden. We used this for the last 2 years since we've been at this property. I honestly couldn't tell you how big it is feet by feet. I'm not really good at that. But we are gonna turn this into a pen for our male goats, for our bucks, because they need their own separate area. So I think this will be a nice little area for them to be in. It's decent enough size for a couple bucks to roam around in and put some logs and stuff for them to play on. But it's not great for a garden spot for a couple reasons. One, I don't like how close it is to this field here right next door. This is a kind of a corn and soy rotation as far as we can tell in the 2 years we've been here. And so that's not my favorite thing when they're out spraying stuff on the field. The garden is right there and there's really nothing in between the two, and we like to use organic gardening practices. Also, as you can maybe see, we've got these beautiful mature trees on either side, which is great because I especially love some good pine trees, but it really shades the garden. So this whole first part of the garden is usually not great for growing anything, and then I was able to grow some stuff in the second half of the garden. But also with these pine trees come a lot of pine needles, so it is not the friendliest soil to work up. So we actually put the pigs in here. If we just pan over, you can see the fence already for our pigs, and here just next door, there's Corduroy, our borrowed boar, hanging out, and Iris is sleeping over there somewhere. So we had the pigs in here for quite a few weeks, and they really did a good job of tilling it up and digging it up for us. So that's really nice churned up soil, but they definitely made it pretty uneven and bumpy in there. So they didn't really do much in that back half, which I wish they had, and I'm not sure why they didn't really dig that up as much. Maybe not as good root options or something. But today I'm gonna get in there and rake it up, and then we are gonna broadcast some pasture seed. All right, Jane, you ready to do this? You ready? I guess that's her I'm ready face. All right, so we've got it pretty well raked in there. It's not quite as smooth as I'd like it to be, but it is, I think, usable for our purposes. Jane is very close to falling asleep, and I'm gonna go find a shoulder bag of some kind to throw our seed in, and then I'm just gonna go scatter it out there in our new little paddock. All right, so I stopped up at the house and I had my husband help fill this bag. This is actually the tote bag I got from the hospital. Fill it with just a forage mix, and I'll show you guys what that is. But it's not super heavy, but it's a mix of different good forage seeds. So I'm gonna go and broadcast this by hand like some old-timey crazy person in our garden. And after that, we're gonna wanna kind of really press those seeds down into the garden, because it's really important when you're getting seeds to sprout that you have really good seed to soil contact. So that we're gonna do with kind of some sort of Jimmy rig situation. I've yet to decide. I have an idea of what we might do, but just stay tuned in the video to see what we end up deciding to do for that. Jane needed a bit of a nap, so she is in the house having a rest. Meanwhile, I have finished getting the seed all scattered in here. Next thing I'm gonna do is I have rigged up an old ice fishing sled that was just left in the woods here on the property when we moved here. And I've thrown a 50-pound feed bag in there, and I'm gonna go and kind of drag it all across the area just to make sure that seed really gets pressed into the soil, because that is what's gonna give us our best chance at good germination. So I'm gonna get to it and then we'll see where we are. Also interesting to note, I figured out why one half the pigs didn't really till up very much, because they decided that that was going to be their litter box. So that is totally covered in pig poop, which is really interesting. People always talk about how pigs are messy or muddy or dirty. Pigs are actually very tidy. You don't see that with horses or cows or any other animal where they kind of pick an area where they're going to go to the bathroom consistently, but with pigs they usually do. That is, at least female pigs. Iris, our gilt, who is right now fighting with the boar, she consistently picks one spot to use as her toilet area, and as soon as we brought Boris in, there's poop all over the place. And I knew it wasn't Iris, it had to be Boris, because that's just what men do. They go and poop all over your nice paddock. Anyway, I digress. So we'll check back in again, like I said, in a couple of weeks, and hopefully we have a really nice lush grass starting to come in for our nice new goat paddock. All right, it has now been a couple of months since I seeded this paddock. I'm gonna be really quick about shooting this video because the mosquitoes are horrendous, and of course I'm just out here wearing a nursing tank. But I'm gonna show you how it's looking. So it's pretty darn lush, pretty full of grass. And now I can't honestly at this point, with the grass being kind of young, tell you what is just what had been here and what is actually from our seeding. But for the most part, I think a lot of this is what was planted, because normally this really didn't grow anything but kind of scrubby little weeds. Further along here, we definitely have, it's a lot weedier, and it didn't do as well because this is a sunnier spot where it has more competition. So you can see there's a huge patch of lamb's quarter over there, and there's also some dreaded quack grass on the edge. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with this. We didn't water it at all. This is just how it came up. I'm a big thing of burdock there too. So I think just my little satchel and hand spreading actually did a pretty good job of getting this seeded as a nice little paddock for our goats. So I think if you have a small area that you are trying to seed, I'd say something an acre or less, just going out and broadcast seeding by hand is a perfectly good option. It worked well for us, and hopefully that will work well for you if you're trying to rejuvenate little small paddocks. Thanks very much for watching. We always appreciate you hitting that like button and that subscribe button. It helps other people to find our videos. Always check back here at Rough and Tumble Farmhouse for more videos about farming, family, food, and fortitude. Take care.